Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm a little bit sleepy. It's been a long day. It's been a tough week here in Tokyo. We had a typhoon earlier in the week, and then we had these crazy torrential downpours where things got flooded. There were actually evacuation calls for parts of Tokyo. It was a mess. It was a crazy day, a crazy week. So today the weather's very humid. It's been a little bit muggy. It's been a little bit rainy. It's weird. September in Japan is a little bit weird. We get a lot of typhoons. Still really humid. It's still really uncomfortable. And the weather fluctuates. You can have, mid to high 30s, which would be like, 90 plus, or then it can go down to like 70, 75, which is, I don't know, like 25 degrees or something like that. So anyway, again, this is Get Off My Lawn. This is my kind of Saturday morning Eastern time little adventure, my little experiment in trying to get to know different collectors, ask them questions about who they are, what they collect, what's their journey been like, that sort of thing. I think it's good that we get to know our fellow collectors, what makes us tick. Maybe we won't feel so weird, so much like an outcast. I know I don't really have too many friends who collect. It's always been that way. So being able to connect here in the days of the internet is very cool. Finding like-minded people is really cool. So that's kind of the purpose of this experiment. Just trying to again meet people, get to know people, collectors, and learn a little bit about them, and maybe a little bit about our own collecting habits along the way. So our guest for this episode, this is episode 3. You know him, you love him, you know who I'm talking about. Talking about Sneaky Figures. Sneaky Figures, good morning.
Morning. Oh, I thought you were gonna bring on the collector with that
I
intro.
was gonna swap, but I got a little bit afraid at the last minute. How you doing?
Good, good. Good morning to I guess majority of the viewers that we normally have, but I know we have international from everywhere. But for me, it's 6 a.m., so I'm up bright and early. Well, I mean, normally up around this time, but normally still kind of waking up. Had to make some coffee. But yeah, I'm good. How about you?
I'm all right. I'm just tired. I
Oh
almost
yeah.
I almost went to bed early, and then I was like, oh shit, I got the stream. So,
Oh yeah, because it's like what time is it
well,
over there for you?
it's 10 o'clock here. It's 10 o'clock at night, but it's been a really busy day. And I got 3 little kids, and they're always fighting. They're always at each other's necks. So it gets me tired. It gets me stressed. Stress leads to fatigue. So it ain't easy, man. It ain't easy. So, but today we're gonna talk toys. Sneaky's been kind enough to agree to let me interview him. We all know Al. We all know Sneaky, but we don't really know about his journey. I met Al in some of the 1/6 forums years ago, and he was always cool. In the things we didn't chat too much. But then when I decided to start the Facebook group, Al was one of the first people to kind of jump over, and he was very active in the group, and we started talking more, and that's how we kind of developed this friendship. So again, we want to thank Al. Everybody, we're going to get to in a moment, but as you're listening to Al, please think of questions that you want to ask him. It'd be really great if we could get a lot of interactive things going on this morning. Get a little people to wake up and participate. So with that being said, again, let's just go into the chat before we start asking out some questions. Omar, thanks for being here, man. Appreciate it. Bones, good morning. Good morning. Jukebox Hero is here. I know Jukebox Hero was awake on the streams last night. We all saw him late going into the wee hours. So
Yeah.
thanks for being here, man. I guess you guys are deprived of some rain. What's going on with you guys out there?
I
What
mean, typical, California, Nevada, Arizona. It's usually dry.
just dry,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, just I mean, especially them over there, Nevada and Arizona. They're the real desert. So,
Yeah.
but even here in Cali, we rarely get rain nowadays. So,
Well, gotta conserve that water, right?
yep, yep.
So, Vicious Soldier, good morning. Saying good morning to both of us. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Tokyo Joey is here, taking some time away from getting drunk and causing mayhem in Tokyo. We appreciate you sacrificing for us. Mark, you're like number 30 on the line here, man. What's going on? You're usually number one.
Maybe it's maybe
Everything
it's
okay,
even earlier. Maybe it's even earlier for him.
man? Yeah. So anyway, it's early. We're gonna say welcome, Sneaky Figures, and we'll start off right off the bat. When and why did you start collecting figures? Tell us.
All right. So basically, born in the '80s. That was a prime time for a lot of pop cult, what we consider now pop culture cartoons. So just as any kid that was born in the '80s, my parents were buying me figures from Masters of the Universe, Thundercats, uh, the real Ghostbusters, GI Joe, Transformers, and even I was there from the beginning of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That was that big phenomenal hit when I was a kid, and the old Kenner Marvel DC figures, all that stuff. So it was my parents that really got me into it because they're the ones that were buying me this stuff. And of course, I was watching the cartoons. My dad used to rent VHS cartoons from the video store. Just
Cartoons.
yeah. Remember,
Wow.
remember? Yeah. Well,
I don't remember renting cartoons. I don't
really,
remember that. No, I don't remember that.
man, they used
Like
to come.
movies, cartoon movies, animated movies,
No,
right?
not even just the movies, but like actual series. They
Really?
used to come in those puffy white VHS cases. Oh man, yeah,
A little vague, yeah. I remember
yeah,
like Care Bears, stuff like that.
yeah. Those. I mean, he was finding me like Master of the Universe, all kinds of cartoons on
What a
VHS.
legend, huh? What a
Yeah.
guy.
So and then he had the two VCR setups, so he used to record them for me, and then just send them
Oh,
back.
man.
Yeah. So I had a collection of VHS. I guess you would call them bootlegs nowadays, but so That's where I learned and how I got to know a lot of these franchises because I was just watching them nonstop on VHS. Um, and again, so they were buying me all the figures, and I didn't have any brothers, but I had a lot of older guy cousins, so they were kind of like my older brothers growing up, and of course they were into the same stuff as I wasn't, so they were a lot of my influences into the collecting slash cartoon world, uh, and that's how it started basically. But and as a kid, I was going through multiple lines. Once we got into the '90s, there were even more uh, franchises that started popping up. Like Power Rangers. That was a big one when I was in the '90s. I know who just released the Captain Planet figure, but that was another big one. Um, Gargoyles, a lot of the Disney cartoons too, like
DuckTales.
DuckTales, Darkwing Duck, all that stuff. Rescue Rangers. Um, there's just so many things I was into, and that collecting took me into my later teens, early 20s. That's when a lot of the Toy Biz stuff was coming out, and oh man, there's just so much. It's so hard to figure out what, where, and when. But basically, let's see. A lot of the older stuff I don't have anymore. I think I brought this up on a few streams, but as I was getting older, I have a lot of family back in the Philippines. So my mom and my grandma was like, "Oh, he doesn't need these are toys." So they would just box them up and send it to all my cousins back there. And so I don't really have a lot of my old figures, which when I was, when they were sent away, of course I was mad because I was gonna find purposes for those, like, hey, those were mine, but it's all water under the bridge at this point. Um, but yeah, so as I got to my early 20s, that's when you started getting the more detailed 6-inch figures. Everything started moving from that 5-inch to the 6-inch. So you had Toy Biz that were making the old Marvel figures. They were moving into that what we now know as, well, it was Marvel Legends back then too, but it was first it was Spider-Man Classics, and that's when they were like the more hyper articulated slash detailed figures. And I was like, wow, these are really cool. So I started buying those. And
So how old are you at this point?
I think when Marvel Legends came out, I was like 18, maybe
Okay,
17.
so give me a little bit of a time frame. When did you stop playing with toys?
Oh, stop playing with toys. Man, I don't even remember. Maybe when I was like 11 or 12, I was still getting some toys, but I wasn't really playing with them. I was more getting them. That's when I started kind of seeing myself as, I guess, a collector and not just like playing with toys. Um, because there was still stuff, coming out like Beast Wars. I love Beast Wars when that came out, and those toys must have came out when I was about that age. Excuse me, about 11 or 12.
So what you're saying is you did an immediate transition from playing with toys to collecting toys.
I guess you could say that. It was that weird transition where you still kind of wanted to play with them, but then you're like, damn, I'm about to be a teenager. Teenagers don't play with toys.
I gotta
So
hide this.
yeah, 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 exactly. That's when you're going through puberty and you're thinking like, man, I'm about to be a man now. I don't play with toys. Um, and you start getting into other things like, I also love sneakers. That was another thing. That as a kid, of course, you're seeing Michael Jordan, all his shoes. Um, you know, uh, there was also like the Reebok pumps, all kinds of different shoes that, because you're starting to also transition to other things like you're getting into sports, all this stuff. So as that preteen, you're trying to, you see all these things that you like, and you don't know where to go. You're getting pulled in all kinds of directions. To want to still play with toys, to want to play sports, get into that. So that's when I started, that 11, 12-year old, even 13-year-old me was going between figures and sneakers and trying to be cool and, all that stuff. But yeah, so I want to say that's around when I stopped playing with toys, but I was still buying them because I liked, or I asked my parents to buy them because I liked, I still like Beast Wars, and there was a lot of other cartoons I still liked. But I want to say I didn't really start buying more toys and seeing myself as a collector until I was about 17, 18. Once the Marvel Legends were coming out, and McFarlane at the time was like considered the premium collector because they were making those detailed. I didn't really like them, but he was making the sports figures. And as much as I was into sports, I just thought their faces were kind of weird. But he was still considered the premium collector, or the premium line of figures to collect. But yeah, I want to say around 17 or 18 is I started getting to Marvel Legends, and then there was a bunch of other cool lines that were coming out. I was big into the Soda Street Fighter figures, but it was mainly the Marvel stuff that I was really really into.
Okay. So for the figures that you were collecting, when you started collecting them,
Mhm.
would you say it was like it was a transition from the stuff and the lines that you were playing with and you just kind of kept buying them, but you were no longer playing, you're collecting? Or like you were saying with the McFarlane stuff, were you now transitioning more into stuff that was kind of satisfying more of like where you were in life at that point?
I'd still say I was more influenced into the stuff I was into as a kid, because also around that time that's when a lot of other properties were being rebooted, reintroduced to pop culture, like Motu, 2000X was coming out around that time. Um, Ninja Turtles had their first reboot with the 2003 series, so I was getting that as those two lines as well. Um, Transformers was making comebacks with Robots in Disguise and Armada, the more anime inspired Transformers. So I was getting some of
Were,
that stuff
were
too.
you
So
buying that? Yeah.
yeah. I actually found recently the Robots in Disguise Optimus Prime, the one that was based off the fire truck. I recently found the original one,
Wow.
and I posted that picture on a couple spots. And like, dude, you have that? Let me buy it off of you. And I was like, what? What is it? This is actually valuable. I actually kind of didn't really like this Optimus, but
Well, that was sort of a dark time for a lot of Transformers collectors.
yeah. Oh yeah. I see Laser Pants. Yeah, Power of the Force. I remember that's when I started seeing myself as a Star Wars person because I was buying those figures. I might still actually have some laying around, but I never actually opened those. So
I bought 7 of each figure that came out from the Power of the Force line for like the first maybe 6 or 7 waves. I bought, and I got a job at Toys R Us
yeah.
just so I could have first dibs with stuff coming off the truck.
Well, see, and my first job was also not figures, but it was also I was like, okay, this is what I'm into now, so I'm gonna try to get a job in this, and it was at a sneaker shop. So because I wanted first dibs on Jordans and Nikes and all that stuff, so it was that same mentality. I was like, I need these, I need to be like the first person to have them. So I got a job at the mall at a sneaker shop.
So let me transition there. Like, did you see yourself more as a sneaker collector, or were you more like a toy collector?
Are you talking about like when I was in my early 20s, late
Yeah,
20s?
like around this time.
I saw myself more as a sneaker collector, but I was still buying figures here and there. Well, so I got my first job at 16 when I was still in high school, and that was when I wasn't really buying figures at all. I was trying to be the cool kid. I was more into sneakers and trying to be into fashion. So I was definitely more of a sneaker collector. Once I got into my early 20s and I was still working, it was a better job than when I was in high school. So I was kind of doing both, but I was still seeing myself more as a sneaker collector. And then it was getting more into figures, and then it was going back and forth really. So it was just depending on what was coming out at the time, I guess, and what I was buying more. But I was trying to be both, but it was back and forth.
When would you say you would consider yourself a serious toy collector?
I would say when I finally got back into the game. So I stopped collecting for a long time. I want to say it was when Hasbro took over the Marvel Legends line. So I was all in on Marvel Legends when it was Toy Biz. Um, I had local comic shops where I could put pre-orders in for whole waves, and I was really into it because at that time that was like top-notch comic style figures, and I was more of a Marvel guy than I was DC. But once Hasbro took over, I bought that first wave, and holy crap, man, they sucked. They were terrible. And yeah, and I mean, Hasbro's come a long way now. We give them shit now, but back then when they first took over the lines, there was not one good figure. It was every figure sucked.
Yeah.
And I actually found, man, hold on, let me see. Oh.
Don't fall over, man. It's too early for that.
Too early. Yeah, I still have a few. I found this in my garage. Look at this White Queen, Emma Frost from the first wave of Hasbro. This is, oh God, this is terrible.
Look at that face.
Yeah. And the paint apps,
and the
compared
cape.
to the Toy Biz ones, man, this was bad. So this line got me to stop collecting for close to 15 years.
No shit, for real?
Yeah. Well, 15 years for 112, so maybe about 10 years in general. But
Wow.
yeah, I was just like, man, if Hasbro's taking over this stuff, like, there's no future in this line. That was
So
my mentality.
Hasbro and the quality just kind of got you so disillusioned with it that you walked away.
Yeah, so I walked away from collecting. I
Okay,
basically sold.
but tell me, okay, so you walk away, you've already got toys,
Mhm.
and I'm assuming like they're boxed, right? Because that's how everybody collected back then.
Nope, I opened
No,
them.
you open
Yeah,
them. Okay,
I opened all
okay,
of them. Maybe except maybe a few variants and chases I
okay,
didn't open,
okay.
but I was mainly an out of box collector.
And where did they go?
So I just sold them on eBay. I was I was in school and I was like, I need a new laptop, and I really wanted like a MacBook at the time because that's when Macs were starting to
Yeah, you
get
want to be
in.
cool. We get
Yeah,
it.
I didn't want to be cool.
We get it.
But I had the first iPhone and I was like, oh, this is cool. So I need a Mac to go with it. So I basically sold everything and it funded my first MacBook, and it was just I was done. I was not even thinking about figures. Maybe I got a couple mini mates here and there because they reminded me of Legos. But other than that, I was done. I wasn't collecting anything. But I was also a long time admirer of 1/6 figures like Hot Toys and whatnot. I used to watch a bunch of like video reviews on YouTube just to see what they were releasing. You know, like guys like I know Clipper King was like one of the OG.
Clipper King,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, he was one of the OG reviewers that I used
That
to
guy
watch
was
a
the
lot.
best. That dude
Yeah,
was
yeah,
the best.
yeah. He was like a drunken sailor when he'd review. He was
He
awesome.
was so good.
There was him, and I don't know if you know who Nene D is. He was
No.
really, yeah, he was really big into like Predator, and he sounded like evil Jean Claude Van Damme. Like I think he was from Germany though, but he had that
Okay.
voice that just kind of sounded like Jean Claude Van Damme, but like if he was like evil. But he was a really cool guy too. Like when you watched him. Um, but yeah, so I was really into looking up like the Hot Toys and 1/6 stuff, and it wasn't until around I was always saying, yeah, I'm gonna buy this, I'm gonna buy this, and I just never did. But around 2000, I think it was 2018. That's when I was like, you know what? I gotta buy something. I just need to just jump in. So I
My
started.
life has no meaning. I gotta buy one of these figures.
Yeah, and that's how it always starts. I just want a Thor, or something, a Spider Man,
We're
and
talking Hot Toys now.
yeah, we're talking Hot Toys. But from there, it's a rabbit hole, just like anything you collect. And I started getting into 1/6 figures, and I was telling myself, this is all I'm going to do. I love the hyper realism, the detailing, the soft goods. Nothing can beat this.
Yeah.
And it was around it was probably around COVID time. That's when I started joining more of the Facebook groups, just because I started seeing a lot more reviews on YouTube, and it was like, hey, join this group. And Justin's Collectibles was one of the other big reviewers that I used to watch, and he promoted the Facebook group, and that's how I started getting into the Facebook groups and just joining all the different 1/6 groups. And it was around 2000, about 23. That's when I know we were in the same group chats, and I don't even know how it started, but I might have just mentioned something about I wanted to get back into 112 because I started seeing a lot of really good import figures, uh, based on comic licenses, which is like the Mafex or the Figuarts. And I was like, wow, these look pretty cool. Like these look way better than like a Marvel Legend or whatever. And we've talked about this plenty of times. 1/6, they're nice and all, but you can't really. They're not as fun to play with. They're more like glorified statues, you
Yeah.
know, that you can change poses on. But
Sort
so
of.
that's yeah. So depending on the figure too. But yeah. So I started, and I really wanted to get back into collecting comic style figures. I know there was a lot of 1/6 comic style figures, but I didn't really like the way they looked, and just thinking about trying to pose them around, you can't get them in cool poses like you could with 112. Plus, I was getting back into watching a lot more anime, and I started seeing a lot of Figuarts figures. Well, I have cousins that collect a lot of Dragon Ball stuff, and I was like, wow, this. I don't think you can get like a good looking Goku or Vegeta in 1/6, which you really can't unless it's a custom. And even then, it just doesn't look right. Um, so, I wanted to get into that. And I remember Ryan being one of the guys that was talking about, hey, there's Chainsaw Man figures that you can get. And I was like, I was actually just starting to watch Chainsaw Man. So I started looking to that and I was like, all right, I got to start buying these, because these look cool. So yeah, I mean, that's how I got back in the 112 was you enablers pulling me into the group. And now we know,
Sorry about
now we're here. Now we're here.
that. Okay, all right. Yeah, that was going to be one of my main questions. Like, how did you actually transition into the 1/6 stuff? But yeah, that's great. So let's get into specifics now. What is the one figure that you don't have that you really, really want?
Kurt
Any
Cobain.
scale. Any scale.
Kurt
No,
Cobain.
be real. Be real. Be real. Any figure ever, including a vehicle.
Like one that's made or one that I like.
One that's been made. One that's been made. It's a grail. It's something that you want. What is your grail?
Oh man, my grail. That's a tough one. I didn't even think about this, but I would have said, well, there is one that's coming out that was kind of my grail, the last couple of years, which was, and I mean, there's been third-party versions, which I do have one, but I've always wanted a 1/6 Conan that was actually, official, that looked really good, and we all know that Cossack Plastic is putting one out soon. So I would say, well, actually, they're doing two of my grills because now they're putting out a Frank Dukes from Kickboxer. So those two, I'd say, were definitely grills that I've always wanted, and I will definitely get those two once they release.
Okay. But in terms of figures or things that have been made that you have eluded you, let's just say.
I'd say for a more recent figure, the Mafex Magneto, because I kept on pushing that one off.
The regular one.
The regular one, yeah. The Jim Lee, based one. Yeah. Just because, when I was catching up on all the 112 stuff, I was always seeing Magneto on sale, like on Amazon or, Big Bad Toy Store. So I was like, all right, he's not a priority because, he's always going on sale. And there was a Jean Grey and Storm that were always going on sale that you could still get now. So I figured he'd be like one of them, I could just get him later. And by the time I realized it, I was like, wait, when did he sell out? And why is he going for 200 plus?
Is he going for that?
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm just going to wait for a reissue. It's going to happen. I'm not in any rush, but I'd say that's probably the one that's always on my mind. I got to keep an eye out for this one. Yeah.
Okay. So next question. What are your top 3 lines in terms of volume in your collection?
Right now, definitely Mafex. Just between all the different properties, I'd say that one. Let's see.
Movie Masterpiece line, right?
Yeah, I'd say Movie Masterpiece, Hot Toys, and
Dragon Ball?
You know what? Just because I've been buying a lot of different Army Builder figures, I'd actually have to say Marvel Legends is probably up there too. Just because I've been, buying. I mean, a lot of their recent stuff has been pretty good too, for the most part. I mean, I'd say, with Hasbro it's 50-50, but when they put out bangers, they're pretty good. But I've been, especially with the Gamerverse stuff coming out, I've been ordering a lot more of their things. And
do you have all the Gamerverse stuff?
I've only had one come in so far. I do have a couple in my pile of loot, but I've been pre-ordering all of them just because, Marvel vs. Capcom was one of my favorite games when I was a kid growing up. So it's definitely, whether it's Hasbro or Figuarts, I'm definitely all in on all those figures.
Okay, I heard some really cool stuff about the Figuarts stuff.
I am. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you have.
Last week, and then a couple days ago, more stuff.
Ooh.
So very exciting stuff. So, okay, what are your favorite three figures from the past month or two? You're on the spot. Give me three of your top figures from the past month or two.
I definitely say the Muff Toys Nightmare Batman, the Kryptonite Seeker.
Okay,
Um, the
that's one.
Chaos Toys National Defender.
Okay, we'll let that fit in. I think that's been maybe 3 months, but okay.
No, but I got him late, remember? So I
Did
got him
you?
like around July. I got him in July.
Okay,
Um,
that's
and
number two.
also and also the NR Batman, the 112. I just got that one, last month. So those three.
Okay, so you got two muffs, and then not.
Two must make a one muff, one big
Maybe
muff.
I don't know. Filipino math. I don't know. All right, man. If you could only collect one scale, what would it be and why?
I think with the way I'm going now, I'd pick 112 over 16.
And this is because of
They're more fun to play around with and take photos of.
okay. That leads us into the next question. How do you feel collecting has changed since you started collecting? Both you and the collecting community.
Um, when getting into I'd say like this is more in like recent years, how things have changed.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'd say because of social media, it's very easy to see how the collecting community has changed because it can be very divisive. Um, and it's sad to say with social media, a lot of people can just say things and type things, um, without thinking or whatnot. There's
Yeah.
there's a lot of positivity, there's a lot of negativity. So just like anything, it's not even with collecting. We all know this. Um, it's very easy to voice yourself,
Yeah.
even when it might not be something good. So, that's definitely one of the biggest changes, over, the past. I mean, ever since I've joined the Facebook group,
Mhm.
over the past 5 or 6 years, you know, uh, so that I mean, with social media, you can get the news faster. You could see, pictures faster. Even leaks faster. But it also comes with a price. So I'd say that's the biggest change. There's with social media, it's like anything goes. Um, but for me, with collecting, I've been, I know Jukebox was mentioning asking about photography, and that's something I just got into within the last year or so. With social media, you get to see a lot of really cool photographers, and it's definitely inspiring. If you want to go into that realm, because it's a lot of inspiration that you can see. A lot of cool guys. A lot of cool tricks that you can learn from behind the scenes, and it was just something I was like, wow, you know what? I want to try this, and it's changed my perspective on collecting because it made it more fun to me. Um, Gives me a reason to like play around with figures, get them in different poses, and trying to recreate a scene and make it look as good as possible with details and dios and accessories. So I'd say that's where my perspective in collecting is now. Of course, I see a picture of something and I think that looks cool. Like that I can't believe they named him the Fantastic Worm Man. That's such a crazy
Two.
name.
Fantastic
Two.
Merman 2.
Yeah, they had because they're gonna come out with a one eventually. But that figure looks great from the previews. But what I'm thinking now is, as good as it looks, I was like, man, what can I do in terms of photography with this figure? Like, what kind of scenes can I recreate or create in my mind? So that's kind of like where I'm at now.
Okay. So let's stay on topic. How did you get into toy photography?
again, I mean, that's one of the benefits of social media. You get to see a bunch of, you know, even just like with reviewers on YouTube that also do photography, guys like The Amazing, 1 6 Shooter last night on Figure Fight Club. He's another big name. And, guys like that, you just see how cool the photography looks and the pictures look. And, it makes the figures look, almost like real, or I wouldn't say realistic. I mean, it could be realistic, but there's that, almost like movie magic or comic magic. I don't, you know what I mean? Like it just looks, you see a lot of really cool photos. And I was like, you know what? I want to try this. I just decided, let me try doing this and see what I can do. And that's where it started, really, just seeing a bunch of cool photography and, you know, lots of different accounts on Instagram that just kind of inspired me to getting into it.
Now, when you first started doing photography, you were just using your phone, right?
I'm actually still using my phone now.
But just like that's it, like straight up phone.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And now you have lighting, and now you have, other things going on.
Yeah. So I mean, it was just well, when I started doing it, I got one of those light boxes because I was like, you know what,
The
I want
white
to.
box, right?
Yeah. Because at first I was thinking, I just want to take studio style photos, like the ones that would be in most promo, releases, press releases. Especially like the Figuarts. Most of their promo shots are kind of just basic, in a light box, maybe one little simple background. But I was seeing myself doing more of those and just more posing them and taking pictures of the poses. That's what I was. That's what my main goal was at the time. Um, but then, once you start learning about dioramas and just making cool scenes, then I was kind of shifting towards that.
Okay. How much would you say you spent in terms of getting equipment for your toy photography?
Oh, not much at all. Well, if you're just counting lighting and stuff like that, not much at all. Maybe like $200. But my next investment, I've been looking into getting, like a mirrorless camera. So, that can be anywhere from like, I'm not looking to jump into anything crazy yet. So that's, a basic one around 800 to $1,000. So that's kind of where I'm looking at right now. But,
Okay.
with all these pre-orders that keep on coming up, it's like, oh, damn it.
Listen, man, we're in the worst time of year.
Mhm.
Every month seems like it's the worst.
Yeah.
But autumn, right up to Christmas, is really, I mean, it's just nonstop.
Yeah.
So people got to get ready. What are your top 5 most wanted figures, vehicles, or lines? The Conan don't count because they've been announced.
Mm-hmm.
The Frank Dukes doesn't count. It's been announced. Give me your top 5. Haven't been announced. Any scale, what you want. Go.
Well, I definitely want to see more of, and as divisive as this line is right now, I do want to see more Figuarts Lord of the Rings figures. So I'm hoping to see a Gandalf in that scale that will match up with the Frodo and the Aragorn.
I actually was talking to Tamashi about the Lord of the Rings. I'm like, how's it selling? He's like, oh, they're like, oh, that's okay. So I'm
Yeah.
like, is Legolas coming out? They're like, we don't know. I'm like, all right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how the line is selling, but I pre-ordered those day one just because I love Lord of the Rings. And then I swear, like a week or two later, they were already on sale. So I don't know if that's a good sign.
Did you ever pick up this guy, this third party one?
No, because I held off on those because Noda is doing Lord of the Rings too, and theirs
Yeah.
is supposed to be actual licensed. So I wanted to see how
Really?
that came. Yeah, theirs is actually licensed.
Okay.
So I want to see how those come out before I jump into, like a soft goods Lord of the Rings line. But So let's
Okay,
see. So that's
so
one.
more Lord of the Rings figures
More Lord of the Rings figures. I'd
from
love.
Figuarts. From Figuarts.
Um, I'd also love to see like a true 1/12 scale Thundercats line, because all we have right now is Super 7. And we did get the Motu crossover with Thundercats, but that's like the 5-inch scale. What else? What else?
Mondo would do that if anyone did it, correct?
I would think so, just because they're also doing the 1/12 Motu 2000X
Yeah.
line. So yeah, so hopefully we'll see something from that. So what is that? That's 2. I'd love to see Mezco continue the GI Joe line, so I can actually dive into it, and I'd love to see them do Cobra Commander complete with a hood head sculpt. Wouldn't that be great? But
Never gonna be approved.
never gonna be approved. I mean, we could always get a third party sculpt, but
Yeah.
that's what I would love to see.
All right, that's 3.
Let's see. What else? I'm trying to look around to see what I don't have. Oh, how can I forget? I'd love to see Mafex do a Kobe figure.
Okay.
I'd love to see Mafex do a Kobe figures, because Kobe, I mean, I love Jordan, but I'm also, I grew up in the LA area, so Lakers are my team, and Kobe is really my favorite player of all time. So
well,
I'd love
I
to
mean,
see
they
him.
did James.
Right? Yeah, they did. They've
They
done
two
Jordan.
iterations, right? There's 2 versions of James, right?
There is the Lakers and the Space Jam one, right?
Yeah.
So I'd love to see a Kobe one. And
Okay,
you know
so
what?
that's one
I'd
more.
actually, I'd love to see some NFL figures. I'd love to see Jerry Rice.
Are we talking about Mafex?
I mean, if Mafex can do it, or
anybody, they're not going to do the NFL. I don't think. I don't think they're going to do the NFL.
I mean, if we can, we know Hasbro dropped the ball on the starting lineup line, but man, if a good domestic company would be able to do some NFL figures, I'd love to see that.
Okay, so you just want an NFL line, preferably Hasbro, but anybody doing it.
I wouldn't say preferably Hasbro, but as long as it's a good company. Wait, who's doing the college line?
Yeah, I mean, if Hasbro did it, you'd be more likely to get certain figures that would cost more.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like not figures, but like personalities, people. They'd be more likely to pay the rights.
True.
Than a smaller company would. So.
But then we'd be looking at like $50 NFL figures that would end up being $17 at an Ollie's or Ross, or less.
Getting into Hasbro in their greed would be a whole other stream, and we don't really have time for that.
Yeah.
All right, so that's cool. That's 5. Here's your last question before we get to questions in the chat. What's your most prized figure? I'm not asking what's your most valuable. I'm asking what's your most prized, yours.
I wish I had a lot of the stuff when I was a kid, because it would definitely be something from that. But the closest thing I'd say to a figure that I had as a kid, look at my wall, around the early, I think this might have been around when Motu 2003 came out. One of my cousins got me a birthday gift, and it was the original Skeletor figure that was kind of like, I don't know if it was an anniversary edition, but it was basically a reissue of the original Skeletor figure in the old school packaging. I'd probably say that one is because Skeletor is my favorite character of all time, and it doesn't get any better than the actual OG figure. So I still have that I have a little Skeletor section where I still actually have a lot of the figures in card, just because I like putting them on the wall, like as a display, and I still have that one too in the packaging.
You remember getting your first Skeletor?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I don't remember like where it came from, but I remember having it.
I remember getting it. I was excited.
Yeah, I don't know if it was something my mom bought, or because I do have like very vague memories of going to like it was either Sears or Montgomery Ward. You guys, I mean, I know you probably remember those, but I have vague memories.
You're old. You remember that stuff.
Hey, you remember getting Skeletor, so so I have vague memories of going to the store and her buying me like Motu figures. I just don't remember which ones they were. Actually, the one I do remember getting was, damn, I can't remember the name, but He-Man's horse, the mechanical horse, was named Strider. I can't remember what Skeletor's horse was named, but I remember getting Skeletor's horse. I don't remember if he came with Skeletor as well, like a packaging, because a lot of vehicles used to come with a figure.
I don't really remember his horse.
It was like a silver and purple, like evil looking. It was the robot horse.
Yeah,
but yeah, I can't remember if my mom got me Skeletor, if it was a hand me down from one of my cousins. So, but I'd say that reissue retro figure is probably my most prized. I don't even know how much it's worth. I don't care. It's the original Skeletor figure.
And how many Skeletors would you say you own?
Oh, I can count right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I have 18 in this section right here.
Okay. All right, let's get into the chat. We're going to wrap this up in about 10 minutes, and we're going to go over to the collector's live stream. He has conned me into appearing on his stream to defend my title. I don't like digging up my figures. I'm not a fan. I was saying that I had to dig up figures for this thing, and like literally like every figure, I pulled out like 6 or 7. Every figure was missing the hands. They were all like in the bottom of this big bucket that I have of like a tube of different figures. I'm cursing him under my breath. I'm like, fucking son.
So it's all mixed up. You don't know like whose is whose unless you like start.
Well, I mean, like the figures that I had to choose for this thing are just like the only figures that I could find the hands for. So okay. they're not the best figures, but I have the hands for them. So
you're gonna use Marvel Legends for this challenge, right? Just kidding.
If I had any Marvel Legends. So Oma, you were talking about the cartoons at the beginning. Thunder the Barbarian. That was a great show. That was a really good show. Ian is reminiscing, sort of the same childhood as you. What's going on, Jonathan?
Hey.
Who or what influenced Sneaky to get into toy photography? You want to speak on that?
Yeah, again, it was when you see these big accounts like The Amazing and 1/6 Shooter, those guys, those are the guys you recognize their art. I mean, their art, it is art. You recognize their photography because they do a lot of photos for like the actual big companies. We all know The Amazing. He does a lot of the Mezco shots. 1/6 Shooter, he does a lot of the Mythic Legions, and a lot of the. He did the Frazetta shots, the Frazetta Girl Conan shots. So he's done a lot of stuff. But those are the accounts that you see first. But once you start following these accounts, you start seeing other photographers like Jukebox Heroes Awesome, Agent Variant in the chat. These guys are guys I interact with almost daily now, and it's cool talking to them. Seeing their work. I love reposting people's work just because I love to share what I find. Man, this looks good. This deserves to be seen by other people. So I love to share everyone's work on
it's
Instagram.
Great to have a vision and to be able to share it that way.
Oh yeah.
Like some people have a vision and they're awful at posing or they're awful at photography. You know what I mean? Like they just can't put it all together. And to be able to do that, I think I don't want to speak for you, but I think there's a lot of satisfaction in being able to convey that to people, which is a great aspect of the hobby.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, again, practice makes perfect.
Just sometimes.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, again, I love seeing people's work. I love seeing how they've done it. Especially if they show behind the scenes, or they share what they've done to get to this, or what they use, like the equipment. It's very cool. It's very cool.
Yeah. So Tokyo Joey talking about what got him out of toys. It was Sega Genesis, or even before that, the Commodore
Yeah.
64.
I mean,
I
yeah,
have
video games too. Video games, especially once you start to get into like the Super Nintendo era, the PlayStation, Nintendo 64. That's when just Sega Genesis, your focus starts shifting to video games too.
Yeah, yeah. I think we all kind of remember that time where we shifted, and it was like, I would rather play the video games than the toys. And
Yeah.
a lot of people question, why aren't kids into toys today? Would
Video
you
games,
be
yeah.
into toys if you had what they have access to?
Exactly. It's a different time, and yeah. I mean, when iPads, man, it's like kids love that stuff. The kids don't even. Oh, sorry. Oh, I was gonna say, kids don't even care about consoles for the most part nowadays. Maybe a Nintendo Switch or something, but your PlayStations and your Xboxes, it's mainly like our generation, and like the older teens that are 20s, 30s-year-olds that are playing that. All the kids are on iPads nowadays.
The world we grew up in ain't walking through that door. It's gone. It's gone forever. And instead of being sad about it, just smile and be like, you know what, man? I was born in the last generation that was able to like experience a physical imagination in my toy playing, in my ability to recreate all of these exciting adventures with this massive array of different toy lines that kids one generation later, it just wasn't there. They weren't putting out the same kind of toys. They definitely weren't putting out the media to tie it together. I mean, I just feel sad for kids today. I would much rather be playing with the toys that I grew up playing with than having a Nintendo Switch or having a PlayStation 5 or anything like that. Call me stupid. I don't know. I don't care. But I'd rather have my Terradrome and my USS Flag and my Castle Grayskull and my Death Star playset and all that stuff. I'd rather have that any day of the week than have the video games. It was just more fun.
I mean, and like you pointed out, the imagination that we had as kids playing with these toys and recreating, scenes, with plastic figures, it was different. And I mean, even now, kids, I mean, I don't really see kids playing on the streets, going riding their bikes. And
parents won't let them. That's the difference, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's always that too, but I mean, that speaks volume about today's world, I guess.
Yeah. Morning, Stu. What's going on, man?
Morning.
So Laser Pants is referring to those Marvel Legends from back in the day.
Yeah, man, they're so bad.
Yeah.
Toy Biz.
What's going on, Max? Thanks for being here,
Max?
man. Man Beast Boy, good morning. What's going on, Hustle? Thanks for being here, man. Appreciate it. Hustle seems to have developed a little bit of clairvoyancy, apparently. He figured out that the third SHF is going to be the Wolverine. I don't know about that.
Tasmanian Devil or what?
I will say that I met the woman. So I sort of met the woman. I talked to her a little bit. I met the woman who designed this.
Ooh, okay.
And I said how amazing this figure is. And I pitched Edward Scissorhands. It's like, I want Edward Scissorhands.
Oh, man,
like,
that would be good.
Like, if you guys can continue like this kind of genre, the next logical choice has to be Edward Scissorhands. But the person who designed this is also the same woman who's doing the Gamerverse stuff.
Ooh.
This is a banger of a figure.
I still need to get that.
You need to get it, especially because you're getting that Dio.
Yeah, 78 Cemetery Dio. Oh, it's perfect.
Yeah. So what did I hear? I cannot repeat. But breaking news. I am doing another rumor leaks video. It will be in October, towards the end of October, probably close to Halloween. And I will address and we will discuss some of the newest rumors and leaks that have been coming out of different toy companies in the last weeks or months moving forward. So it'll be a lot of fun. I'll be able to probably speak on some stuff then. So make sure that you guys keep an eye out, keep an ear out, and make sure you tune in. That'll be a lot of fun. So the pre-order struggle is real, Max. You know it, man. You know it.
Way too real.
Agent Variant. Yeah, I have 2 Sony mirrorless. I never use them. I never use them at all.
I might just have to take yours.
I probably spent like $1,800 on an 85 millimeter Sony lens. $1,800. It's a badass lens, let me tell you. Mm-hmm. But I don't think I would ever use it for toy photography because it requires a certain distance. But if you get yourself a nice macro lens, which I have a really nice macro lens. Yeah, I mean, toy photography could be a lot of fun. I probably should use it when I do my toy reviews, when I do my video reviews.
Right?
So probably use that.
I'm sure it has 4K recording.
But well, I mean, I have 4K on this.
Yeah.
But the lens is everything, right? It's the lens. So
yeah, I'm actually looking at a Sony. Probably looking at starting off at the A6400. You know, that's a pretty good, I guess, entry level mirrorless camera. Canon, I was also looking at the R100, so that was kind of like my
two that I was. Great.
Yeah, those are the 2 I was kind of looking at, but I'm actually leaning more towards that Sony camera.
The first Sony I got, I don't remember what it was. It was like, I don't know, but the second one, the first one I got was like $1,000, but it was a set. So you got like the camera, you got a couple lenses.
Oh, okay.
And then I ended up buying like really good lenses, and then I upgraded to like the Alpha 3 or something like that, which was like a $2,000 Sony. And the lenses weren't compatible, so I had to get a Sony adapter ring to go over, you know, like where the SLR actually goes, you know, like clip on. And that was such a pain in the ass to actually have to buy something like that. But Sonys are great. They're not heavy because they have that mirrorless system. They don't have that metal cage inside the camera to stabilize everything. So I like my Sonys. They're pretty good. Again, I want to end this stream within a few minutes to hop on over to Ryan, the collector stream. Pre-order fatigue, man. We're going to be talking about fatigue on the next regular stream on Monday night. So make sure you save all your frustrations and your comments. Yeah, keep saying we need to get an amazing 1/12 green hoarded Kato. I don't know, man. I think that time where those characters were popular has come and gone. I think what was his name? Seth Green? What was that guy? Seth Rogen.
Oh, Seth Rogen. Yeah.
Seth Rogen did that movie and it was awful, and
it was a comedy.
it killed the hype. Night Stalker is the horse.
Oh, that's the Skeletor horse. Okay. Yeah. That I remember that now.
All right. The villain in Toy Story 5 is a tablet.
Based on a true story.
Is this what we're hearing? Is that going to be like part of the
Oh,
story?
I haven't looked into it, but I
Because they're
mean,
making a Toy Story 5.
yeah, I
So
mean, I would. It would be great if Tablet was a villain because it's like reflecting real times, modern times.
yeah. I know some of the plans they have for Star Wars. And we should be seeing some stuff in November. Maybe I'll talk about it in that October. Like I'll talk about stuff, but I don't know how soon certain things are, and I don't want to kind of talk about things that are just kind of internal rumblings, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like, here's an idea. Let's look into it. I don't want to
Mhm.
report on that. I kind of want to report on stuff that is actually in the pipeline. So I've heard some cool stuff. I've heard some really, really cool stuff for Star Wars. It's not vehicle related. It's figure stuff, but it's out of the box of what they have done, and it's just great possibilities. So I'll just say that. More pitches. My first Sony was a Sony A. Is that 3?
I
A3?
think the A3, yeah,
Alpha
yeah.
3? Yeah. A6400. Okay.
There you go. Yeah,
Yeah, that's a beast.
and Agent Variant takes some really good photos.
He do.
Yeah.
All right, this guy is trying to push everybody out. All right, so I want to thank Sneaky for being on. I appreciate it.
No
He's
problem.
always on. He's always on the streams, but we didn't really know anything really about him and his collecting and stuff. So I appreciate him being on, waking up at the crack of dawn to come on and speak to us. We do appreciate it. And it's a really cool history, and it's something that, again, I appreciate when I get to know people. The ties that bind us, right? They're really good. So again, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. Anytime.
And Sneaky has some plans for today, but I think he's going to hop on over to Ryan's stream for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then he's going to bounce. So everybody who's been watching, appreciate it. As always, please tune in on Monday night. We'll talk about fatigue, being bombarded with drops and everything. So, it's a hard time. Sometimes it's overwhelming for collectors. And, FOMO can be a very stressful thing, especially when you put money down on something and you have to choose between stuff. So, let's talk about it, hear what other collectors have done, what they plan to do. Maybe you'll feel better about your decisions. Let's talk about it. So thanks a lot, everybody, for watching. Appreciate it. Hop on over to The Collector's stream. He's put the link in the comments. So take care, everybody. Have a good weekend, and see you all next time.